or I spoke to earlier Asaduddin Owaisi, Member of Parliament, and also to Narottam Mishra, the Home Minister of Madhya Pradesh. First, let's turn to Mr. Owaisi. Mr. Owaisi, you are claiming that the actions of the Madhya Pradesh government, the bulldozers, are against the law of the land. The Madhya Pradesh government says that they have gone and targeted the stone pelters, demolished illegal encroachments. They are saying it is wrong to suggest that they have done an illegal action. They have gone by the law of the land. Your response when the Madhya Pradesh government says bulldozer politics against those who resort to stone pelting during Navami processions, they must zero tolerance to those who use violence.
Absolutely rubbish, white lies are being spread by the Madhya Pradesh government. They have demolished these houses because they claim that those houses occupants were indulged in this so-called stone pelting. My point is, didn't you knew firsthand that these, accepting that they were illegal, why did you have to demolish after the violence takes place? It happened because of state complicit violence. Under what law have you demolished an illegal, if the so-called illegal structure? It goes against the principles of natural justice. Why haven't you issued them a notice? It is a violation of Geneva Convention.
No, Geneva Convention. There is the Madhya Pradesh Bhumi Vikas Law Rules of 1984, Mr. Owaisi. The Madhya Pradesh government claimed that they have gone under this law, demolishing illegal encroachments. They claim notices were served earlier, and therefore they have gone ahead and demolished these houses. They accuse you now of communalizing it, of singling out the Muslim community as victims.
Rajdeep, I have no issues on facing all these accusations. I'll be facing these accusations in this country so long as I live. My point is that why is it that you come to know about this so-called structure or house being illegal now? Why didn't you know a week before? Why didn't you demolish it a week before? Did you serve a notice to them? Every law says that you have to serve a notice to them. And where is that notice? Give it to the media. Please give it to the media. What kind of sadistic pleasure the BJP Madhya Pradesh government takes in by demolishing a house, by making those poor Muslims homeless in the holy month of Ramadan, when all the Muslims are fasting, you demolish their houses. Just because you have said on record that no, they indulge in stone pelting. This is the collective punishment which you are giving.
No, those stone pelting visuals are also on record, Mr. Owaisi. It's not an imagination that there were no stone pelting. My question to you, just as you claim it is illegal to demolish the houses without notice, is it legal to throw stones at a procession, at a Ram Navami procession? Let's assume, as I said for a moment, that the Madhya Pradesh government has overreached itself in demolishing the houses without proper procedure. But is it legal to be throwing stones and, dare I say, petrol bombs, as some are claiming, at a procession? Do you agree that stone pelters have to be also taught some kind of a lesson, some kind of a deterrence is needed or not, Mr. Owaisi?
Rajdeep, any violation of law, whether done by a stone pelter or a violation of law done by the government in power, both must face the music of the law. Both must face the law. Just because you're in power, you're not entitled to blatantly violate the law. So what is the difference between the government of the day and a stone pelter then? You're also indulging in mob violence then. If that person had indulged in stone pelting, for argument's sake, let us accept it. You should have arrested him. You should have you should have arrested him. You should have taken him to courts. Why do we have courts of law in India? You being in power, do you have that power authority to demolish anyone's house? Tomorrow you will kill me. You're killing also. You will say that Asaduddin Owaisi's existence in this world is harmful to law. I'll kill him. You'll kill me then tomorrow. You're not running the state by rule of law, but you're running the state on your whims and desires according to your ideology.
No, but do you agree, Mr. Owaisi, that whether you are a stone pelter or whether you are someone who has taken the law into their own hands, you need to be punished under the same laws? Do you accept that Asaduddin Owaisi, as a member of parliament, must be critical of anyone who resorts to any form of violence? It cannot be that only the government who's engaging in bulldozer politics will be in the dock. The stone pelters must who took law into their own hands, and indeed those perhaps during the Ram Navami procession who are making inflammatory slogans, who are engaging in provocative actions, they will all have to face the music, because this is not just happening in Madhya Pradesh. It's happened across different states of India. Do you accept, therefore, that that all those involved in these provocative actions will have to be acted against? It can't be Hindus only or Muslims only. That's all I'm saying.
Rajdeep, violence done by the state is more dangerous to the society. State-sponsored or state-complicit violence is more harmful to our democracy and to our constitution. Number two, no one has the right to take law into their hands. Number three, you have given a permission for a procession. What the hell were you doing over there? And right under your nose, by the police, 75-year-old Muslim women were brutally assaulted by the Madhya Pradesh police. If you don't agree, I will send you those videos and photographs of those old ladies, their heads and their elbows bleeding. How did you allow that violence to take place? How did you allow a procession to go and erect flags on a masjid?
That happened in Madhya Pradesh.
What are you doing? And as far as Madhya Pradesh is concerned, you take out the data. In a year, not every 2 or 3 months you have violence over there. Why? What is the government doing? Because it is a state complicit violence. You want to give a collective punishment to Muslims. You want to create and accentuate and embolden all those elements who hate Muslims.
No.
This is what the government is doing.
No, Mr. Owaisi, you could be accused at the moment of playing up to Muslim victimhood, because at the moment it seems this country is caught between Hindutva extremism, if I may call it, on one side, Muslim extremism on the other. And I believe we need to reject both. The point is, you cannot reject one and defend the other. You are attacking Hindutva extremism, you are attacking state power, but you need to attack Muslim extremism as well. Both should be unacceptable. That's when we can move forward collectively, Mr. Owaisi.
Well, Rajdeep, I disagree with you. You are making a very sitting in a studio making a point which has no relevance to the ground reality. People are erecting flags on a masjid. People in a procession are openly threatening me. People with police protection in Uttar Pradesh says that I will rape Muslim women. I will lift Muslim women. In Rajasthan, targeted violence of shops takes place right under the nose of police. And extremism of what, Rajdeep? You have not a day passes where statements are made by all these so-called religious people. Who has been radicalized?
No, Mr. Owaisi.
Are you saying that Muslims have been radicalized? No. I disagree
there are
with you.
statements today which are over the years or in the last few months made by Muslim clerics as well, which are inflammatory. There are statements made by Mahants. There are statements made by Muslim clerics that perpetuate this atmosphere of hate. We must reject both. Is my point, Mr. Owaisi. Why not?
As far as extremism and radicalization is concerned, it is the responsibility of the government to look into majoritarian radicalization and majoritarian extremism. It is high time that the Ministry of Home Affairs within their internal security department starts an extremism center to monitor majoritarian radicalization, majoritarian extremism. And let me remind you that the Genocide Convention, according to the United Nations, we have already crossed the first step. Not a day passes wherein the Muslim community, women are being targeted. Whether it's bullied by app or whatever it is. Not a day passes wherein the whole community is blamed. How is it that from Rajasthan, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Goa, Jharkhand, this violence takes place?
Mr. Owaisi,
who's responsible
what
for
I'm
that?
trying to reiterate is that we cannot suggest that only one community is the victim at the moment. One community is solely responsible for the violence. The violence that we've seen in the videos on Navami has been engaged and taken place involving both communities. It's been a communal flare-up. Unfortunate, regrettable. My point, therefore, is let's put all those responsible for the violence under the lockup. Do you agree with that? That's all I'm saying. Let's not make it Hindu-Muslim as much as let's make it Indians against those resorting to criminal behavior across communities, Hindus or Muslims.
Rajdeep, I disagree with you because the Delhi riots. We have seen the video of those 3 boys lying on the ground. One died. Who died because of police beating and firing. He was asked to recite Jan Gan Man. Not a single police officer has been arrested so far. Forget about sentence. Who's creating the extremism? Who goes and says, Desh ke gaddaron ko goli maro dash dash dash? Who went to Madhya Pradesh and gave those slogans? Who's promoting this extremism? Who's making them radicalized? Why isn't the government taking note of it? Because the government wants this sort of extremism and radicalization. The government believes in a particular ideology wherein they believe that Muslims should be made a second-class citizen of this country. They want the Muslims to not to have constitutional rights which the Constitution of Ambedkar gave us. This is the whole idea of this present government and the present parties in power in the respective states.
Mr. Owaisi, there is a law at the moment in Madhya Pradesh of a prevention to damage the public and private property and recovery of damages 2021. Similar laws passed in Uttar Pradesh. It gives the government tribunals the right to recover up to twice the cost of alleged damages in such instances. Do you believe that this is a deterrent to at least stop those who are responsible for writing? Do you believe these laws are justified or not? Or are you going to call these laws illegal, extra-constitutional?
May I request you to please read the Honorable, if my memory serves right, subject to verification, Honorable Judge Chandrachud his bench has told the UP government to withdraw that law which they had passed and to return the money that was taken from those people. Now, if you make such arbitrary laws which does not satisfy the reasonable test of right to equality, such laws are illegal and they will be struck off by the courts of law. These laws will have to pass the test of reasonableness. You cannot make an arbitrary law as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned. Let us assume that in Madhya Pradesh, you have that law. Does that entitles you to give collective punishment to a community? Does that law entitles you to demolish a house? Does that law entitles you to beat 13, 14-year-old Muslim boys by lying them on the streets and beat them black and blue? The government itself is not upholding rule of law.
Mr. Owaisi, what's the way forward? Because the fact is, Mr. Owaisi, nafrat फैलाना बहुत आसान है, प्यार बांटना बहुत मुश्किल. How are you people like you going to bridge this divide? When are you going to also push for greater harmony? You seem to suggest that the entire blame is to lie with the center. The center must break its silence. Center must ensure law and order. Center must do sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas. Let's assume that the center needs to do more. But what are people like you willing to do? How committed are you to ensure harmony for the division of the community instead of playing what many believe is Muslim identity politics also?
You asked me, you have asked me, Rajdeep.
Yes.
6 bullets were fired on me personally. Did I blame a community? Did I blame a community? Please tell me. I didn't blame a community. I didn't blame Rajdeep Sardesai because he's Hindu. He's responsible for shooting on me by firing 6 bullets on me on my car. What is the government doing? The government is doing right opposite. Being in power, they are not discharging their constitutional responsibility. Whether it is the Congress government, whether it is the Hemant Soren government, whether it is the BJP government, whether it is the government headed by Mr. Narendra Modi, my Prime Minister. What is it that they are doing? The whole country knows. And who's emboldering these elements? Who's making them radicalized? Who's making them more extreme in their views? Who's making them so so blatant that they completely disregard law and say whatever they have to say?
Mr. Owaisi, there is an Ashok Gehlot. Why you blame Mr. Modi? Remember, there's an Ashok Gehlot government in Rajasthan run by the Congress where there have been riots. There is a Shivraj Singh Chauhan government in Madhya Pradesh where there have been riots. There's a Mamata Banerjee government in Bengal where there have been riots. All of these are different parties, all where we are seeing violence on the ground. Law and order is at the end of the day a state subject. Each state government in a sense must be held to account, needs to respond. We can't now single one individual. This is going to have to be every state government fulfilling its responsibility.
Of course, I agree with you. This was the same Ashok Gehlot government in its last tenure. The Holy Quran was burned. 10 Muslims were shot dead. Same Mamata Banerjee in Bourbon. Bombs were thrown by Muslims on Muslims. Mamata Banerjee never gave a book or a pen in the hands of Muslims, but yes, she has given them bombs. She has never made them leaders of the community, but yes, she has given them bombs. Yes, you are right, I agree. It is the state government, not the state subject, but it is also their failure. They are also responsible in emboldening such elements who are taking law in their own hands.
Let's assume that the state and central governments have failed the constitutional mandate. I will ask you therefore one last time, you're a member of parliament, what is your responsibility as someone who calls himself or projects himself as a leader of the Muslim community, raises their concerns? What is your responsibility to convince people and Muslims and Hindus that this is not a time to resort to violence of any kind? This is simply unacceptable. What will it take to end this cycle of violence? What is your responsibility, Mr. Owaisi, beyond the blame game?
Rajdeep, neither have I projected, neither do I claim that I'm a Muslim leader. I'm not. Please get that right. I don't owe responsibility. The responsibility lies on the governments of the day. me and you should ask this question, that you have taken oath on the Constitution to maintain law and order and to protect life and limb of every citizen, which these respective governments have completely failed. Whether it is 2002 Gujarat, which you covered, whether it is Nelly massacre, whether it is Delhi riots, recent Delhi riots, whether it is riots over the genocide of 6 or 84, I can go on and go on. How much responsibility should be put on my doorstep? What do you want me to do? My house is demolished in Madhya Pradesh for what reason? In the holy month of Ramzan, I'm fasting and I'm standing on the road. I have no shelter on my head. Should I go and tell them to say what you're saying? Please tell me.
Let me leave it there, Mr. Owaisi. Strong word.